everyone. Happy Thursday. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay. And she's timing things so perfectly. Like it was click, camera. She's ready to go.
Lights, camera,
click, action. Yeah, we're not messing around with lights today. Kind of a little bit. Oh, I got to zoom in a bit. All right. We'll make that work.
Oh, yes. Giant me, little you.
Little Jay.
Big
Big Paula. Little Jay. Big Paula.
Yeah, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. And then us.
Oh.
Okay, we're in that mood again. Every second day, it's a mood thing. I don't know. We really have to check that water.
I mean,
She doesn't have milk or powdered milk in her coffee today.
I know. I looked down to go put, because I just make the tea like 2 minutes before we go live. Before we go live, and I was like, I looked down like, oh no, the honey and tea bag, no milk. Olive.
You're my honey. Oh.
Aww.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. Yeah, we've definitely been getting our steps in lately and doing a lot of walking. For those breaking news enthusiasts, the signs have been moved. Okay? We've moved all the signs that were too close to intersections. The federal and provincial rules are slightly different, but they've now been followed. And when I called the returning officer in the morning to let her know, like, look, oops, I'm aware that my signs, some of them are too close to the intersection. She's like, hey, nobody's complained, but good on you for letting me know. I'm like, well, I kind of wanted to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Like, if someone does call, we're aware and we're moving them. So we did that. So we got that done. So thank you so much for your help on that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It was it's been a bit tuckering out because again, it's not small locations. You got to pick up signs, drive, get out, do all that, get up and lather, rinse, repeat, that type of thing. But it got done.
First world campaigning problems, folks.
Yeah, no kidding. Exactly.
But it's all good. So if you're in Division 6, you see us everywhere. We're getting sick of us. So if you are too, we get it. Totally get it.
I am tired of seeing my face on a lawn sign.
It's a good
I'm telling
one, though.
you.
It's a nice picture.
I'm telling you, tired of seeing that. Never expected to see my face on a lawn sign, but yeah, it's you again. the trustee who'll listen. Yes, that's me.
Yep, putting students first for sure, and getting out into the community as well. So we had a nice little spaghetti dinner with the firehouse.
Yes, thank you very much to the. I put this up so I can read it properly. It is the Drayton Valley Brazo County Fire Services. There you are. They've been doing that all the different firehouses because this is Fire Prevention Week. I think from the 5th to the 13th is the fire prevention, and so this is their annual spaghetti dinner that they hold at the House 2, which is the Breton location. And it was a great event from 5:30 to 7:30. Community came out, lots of activities for the kids. Our kids had a great time. So thank you very much, guys and gals who put it on and for serving the community so well that you did.
Yeah, JJ is very pleased because you got to put out a couple fires because they teach you how to deal with that, grease fires, all types of fires. So that's good for the boys. And then a little smokehouse so you can learn how to find your way out of a situation unfortunately you find yourself in, hopefully never, but yeah, the boys kind of went through some fun time training to make sure they're good with fires.
Yeah, and apparently our son Jacob, our youngest, went through the house 17 times according to his big brother.
Keeping track. He probably wanted 18, but we had to get going. It was great to see the community there, so many familiar faces, some new faces, had some conversations with our neighbors. We absolutely love living in Brazo County.
Oh, for sure.
Some of the best people out here.
I really enjoy it. It's been great. And also doing the whole campaign, you got to meet new members of not new members, new to us members of the community. So it's been wonderful. Met a new neighbor of ours that, we're like, oh, hey. And then I got introduced to our friends as, hey, this guy's a neighbor of yours. Hello, how are you? And we got to chat, and it's a great community. I really enjoy it here.
100%. So if you're looking to escape Ontario or anything like that, and you're thinking about Alberta, check out Brazo County. It's great people, great services, and I'm learning a lot about how we can help the community moving forward.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to that. Give a quick update, because again, it wasn't a homestead day yesterday, but it was a community building day yesterday. So some of you may know, I was invited to the Agricultural Services Board meeting yesterday morning. I was asked to do a presentation on the ostrich farm situation in BC, and that's what I did. So I got somewhere like 25 minutes or so to take them through the whole situation, a little bit of background of these ostriches, what the CFIA has claimed since December 2024, and then the whole progress throughout up to now, including the death of Spirit. And I'm pleased to be able to share with everybody that I was not aware but there was a motion ready for the board to consider. And that motion is to send a letter to the president of CFIA, Mark Carney, Daniel Smith, the local MLA, MP, which we know is Dane Lloyd. That name's burnt in my head, along with all the other Agricultural Services Board to stop the call and test the birds. So there's going to be a call out from Alberta farmers. At least Brazeau County is taking the initiative on that one to get that letter out, because they strongly believe that farmers out here have the concern that this could be them.
Exactly. It could happen to you for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And the one thing I highlighted was the ultimate discretion that the CFIA has. Like, once they make a decision, that's final. And you can't really push back at all. So ideally, the president of the CFIA will consider the voices of farmers from Alberta to go ahead and consider, like, look, it's not just one farm in BC. It's going to be all farms, because this is something that's concerning to everybody.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that would sway a lot of people is, like, get the testing done. Let's have some current testing. The last one was done was December 2024.
Yeah.
Let's get some testing done now. And then you can truly make a decision on whether or not these animals need to be culled. But I think that's the most important thing. And the fact there's been such reluctance and delay in doing so, because that could even get people more on the side of the CFIA. Get some current tests done, and then we go from there.
I think indirectly tests was done. So the autopsy of Spirit showed that sepsis is what took that bird, not bird flu. And there they go. They had a fine example to show the world that there's an additional problem, and there isn't one. And they've had these birds for 2 weeks or so now, haven't shown any more. They're not showing any ill birds, injured birds, because they've been terrorized by the drones and strangers handling them. So that's happened. So injuries have happened, but not sickness or illness. And this also hit the board quite hard yesterday, because they didn't have this information. Okay, so there's a lot of people that watch CBC for their news, and this isn't the information being shared. I did go through the various experts, including the CBC expert, Dr. Angela Rasmussen, something like that. And my encounter with her, which didn't lead to an interview, but she also didn't counter any of Dr. Pellick's information that was in the interview that she watched of mine. So anyways, I presented the case, facts only, not feelings, and unanimous vote to go ahead and try and save these birds from Alberta.
That's fantastic. Well done, Brazeau County.
Yeah, very pleased. So Councillor Glenn Gunderson, he initiated that. He invited me there. He brought forward the motion, because he has been paying attention to what's going on out there, sharing it with the boards. And I'm also very pleased that this letter is going to all the Alberta Agricultural Services Boards, all of them. And hopefully they agree. And what was also great is one of the members of the board brought forward a resident from Lower Mainland who reached out to him when he learned it was on the agenda, and they spoke, and they echoed the exact same concerns. It was like, look, CFIA has too much power. There's no way to challenge it. The orders or decisions, you have to go to the federal court. And as you can see with this one, all the way to Supreme Court that we're still waiting on. And that's not really government. That's dictatorship. So there's concern here. There should be mechanisms where, for example, you can supply your own vet, pay for your own testing, and show your own results, and they're considered as part of the decision. That process doesn't exist. In fact, that will get you 6 months in jail and a $250,000 fine if you're in the BC farm, Universal Ostrich Farm. They've been threatened with those fines if they try to test the birds right now.
Wow, that does not make any sense to me. I'm sorry. Am I missing something? That doesn't make any sense to me. So if they were to provide legitimate, like, official tests, this is the test that they would use. If they provided those results, it would not only be not accepted, but it would also then be, they'd be penalized for providing it.
Per bird.
Per bird.
Per bird.
Oh, Canada.
So $250,000, 6 months in jail if you test the birds. Yep. So that needs to change. There needs to be a mechanism where the farmer, even on their own expense, because it's very expensive, whether you're talking about 50,000 chickens or 400 ostriches, that's a concern. And another thing that came up with the board that really shocked them was the classification of ostriches as poultry. They shouldn't be poultry. They're not. They're not poultry. And this was actually brought forward by the resident who spoke to the other board member brought that forward and said they shouldn't be classified as poultry. They're just being lazy at the CFIA by doing that, and some changes need to be there. So this may initiate a lot of changes in CFIA. I know they're under a lot of pressure, but getting some pressure from Alberta farmers, I think, are going to assist in this matter moving forward.
Well, if there's a lot of pressure, but they should see the positive in it. That's highlighting something that perhaps needs to be changed and readdressed, and that's the whole point. Things need to be evaluated every now and again, and this is currently a situation that needs to be in perhaps their protocols and procedures. So what's wrong with that? See the silver lining in it.
So there you go, Brazeau County, Division 6, without a vote. I'm still pushing and fighting for you, getting into administration and the boards, and doing my little part to try and assist with Canada going forward, and the agencies that govern or watch over us.
Yes.
This is what we do. We push
Especially
back.
we live rural too, so ensuring that the CFIA do have proper protocols, procedures, and doing things right and fair is important in rural communities.
And on this particular issue, my counselor, who I'm running against, Dallas Ekstrom, was there via telephone, and he supported the motion to go ahead and save these birds. So very pleased about that. It was a unanimous vote. And thank you, Dallas, for listening to a presentation and supporting our efforts to try and save these birds. I appreciate that. All right. Yeah. Okay. Getting out there. And we've got a busy day today, too. Go meet with Breton administration, the town hall or town office there.
Yeah.
And it looks like I have a meeting at the county office to meet with some of the administration there to talk about the commitment that was made Tuesday by the current Reeve and the potential next Reeve. So both Reeves, I got a commitment out of them to add more services to the interactive map for Brazeau County.
Yeah.
So we can get more information out of it. So my meeting this morning should be with the GIS, so the Geographic Information Services Coordinator, and the Business Services Manager. So we're getting that ball rolling, regardless if I win that election or not. I'm still going to push forward those advancements. I already got the commitment out of the next Reeve, whoever it is. We'll move ahead with that. We're busy for you folks because we live here too. We want this stuff as well. We want
exactly. Irrelevant of us just being candidates at this moment, there's still good points and ideas that we would like to really bring forward and get involved in the community on.
Yeah, I want to know where our money's going to. See, where did your money go? Accountability. I want to know it too, whether I have a seat on that council or not. So I'll be working hard on that. All right, let's get started in the news. So if you are in this area, so Buck Creek, so Brazeau, Buck Creek, Drayton Valley, and you want to learn about what they did down in the U.S. recently, the APP, as their second delegation went down to speak to them about what their intention would be if Alberta votes to go ahead and secede from Canada. So if that referendum is successful for the yes vote, what will happen next? These conversations have started back in, I think it was even before April, before the election, was the first delegation that the APP went down. And they went down again recently and got confirmation that, yes, the U.S. will support the independence of Alberta if the Albertans vote for it. So Dr. Dennis Modry, the co-founder of the APP himself, and the chair of the Alberta Prosperity Board of Directors will be in Buck Creek to have a Q&A session, really. Like the way we spoke about it yesterday is he's really eager to get involved with the community's questions. So it'll be part presentation and part Q&A all at the same time. And thank you to Max at Freedom Calendar. He'll be live streaming this. So if you can't make it down in person to get your question in there, make sure you tune in online, and you'll be able to at least hear what's going on. But this will be a really big event because this is one of the most important questions about going forward. Do we have U.S. support? Yes. Now, what are the nitty-gritty details? What they discussing? Are we going to take the U.S. dollar? Are we going to have security? Are we going to be trading? These are really important questions, and Dr. Modry will be providing some of those answers to it. So 7 p.m., Buck Creek Community Hall, and I'll see you there. I'll be there to introduce him. I'm not speaking, but I'll be there to introduce him, and I also have some questions. So I'll be happy to ask some of those. And I also will be filming with him, recording his interview for our Alberta Self-Determination series. I think he's like number 38 or 39 of the series, maybe even higher than that. And then Danielle Smith is Tuesday. So it would be kind of good to have that discussion about the U.S. delegation. And then I'll be prepared to talk to Danielle Smith on Tuesday as well.
So.
Yep. So independent media is the media. You're looking at it, folks. It's not CBC anymore. And Andy No, who is an independent journalist, goes out there with his camera, much like Chris Dacey, and gets bumped up and threatened and attacked because he's right there trying to get the information and the news and provide it to you. Well, he's now talking to the U.S. president in the White House about Antifa. So he was invited there along with a couple others to share the experiences and information that he's collected on Antifa. And Donald Trump is moving ahead, very strongly on this issue. So hopefully this is something that he brought to Carney's attention, because if Canada ends up becoming a place where groups that are designated as terrorist organizations can live and prosper, that's going to end up becoming a national security threat to the U.S. And they may have to take some measures, embargoes, sanctions, other things that they do with other countries that create problems for the U.S. security. They may have to start taking that against us. Trade relationships and tariffs and things like that suck, but there's another level to consequences if the U.S. is very, very displeased with what your country is doing or possibly exposing their country to. This is something we've highlighted even before Trump's election, that this was going to become a problem. And I said on the show during the election, so before we got the results, but if Trump wins, I think he was going to go in this direction, because he should, quite frankly. There's a lot of terrorism crossing the border, terrorist characters crossing the border and causing problems in the U.S. and Canada. Gives them comfort and lets them hang out here. So hopefully it's the beginning of something good, that organizations like this that are not actually anti-fascists, but they are anti-right of socialism.
Yes.
So hopefully this is dealt with, and the U.S. can take the lead on that one. And thank you to Andy No, who's been assaulted many times as he's been trying to do this.
Yeah, he has.
Mr. Barber, he's give a couple posts here, or at least one, where he's thanking everybody for the messages. He just simply can't keep up with all the messages, and that's understandable. So he's apologizing. That's the kind of guy he is. I'm so sorry I can't get back to you right away, but I will get back to you. And he shared a quote from his mother, who said, son, I would rather have you home safe for 18 months than have you sit in a jail cell for 6. And he echoed the same sentiment.
Yeah.
He's like, I agree with her. He also confirmed that he can work and other things, but basically that's it. So there's no entertainment, there's no hanging out, there's no going to events to say hi and shake hands. The JCCF event that he went to in Calgary may have been one of his last public appearances until this is done for the next 12 months. And then the curfew period, as long as it's local and he can get home by this curfew time, then
Pat King had to live that.
Yep. And speaking of Pat King, he's joining us this Saturday to talk about some things. He was in the courtroom. Jeff Evely again will be back. Chris Carbert's going to pop in for a little bit because the judge referred to their cases. So I absolutely want to kind of talk to him about their cases. The judge referred to it as part of the sentencing, and I'll see if I can get a couple more people, maybe Arthur Pawlowski, to pop in for a bit, because it would be kind of neat to talk to the people who were involved in the cases that the judge used in order to determine the sentence. So kind of connect some of those dots for you and bring them to you and have some conversations. But Pat King's confirmed. Chris Carbert's going to join us for about 30 minutes because he wants to enjoy his weekend, because he doesn't get very many away from Lethbridge. And we'll see who else will join us on that one.
Right.
$21 million is what it cost taxpayers to get this conviction and sentencing. And that's not including Barbara Leach's defense. That's the prosecution side of things. So thank you to Mr. Sunshine Baby for coverage. If you don't follow him, please do. He's been very active since the convoy. And this is not shocking to me at all. Not shocking to me at all. Longest mischief trial in history. It went on for a long time. There was a lot of shenanigans. And in the end, it's not a slap on the wrist. It's definitely a very tough sentence, especially when they don't deserve one. for what they did, and the judge did highlight how peaceful things were. But this still is an extreme and obscene amount of money being spent to try and make an example out of these people, these Canadian patriots. And I'm sure this number is going to go higher because as we learn about King's and everybody else's trials, you add it together, I bet you it's closer to $100 million in total across even the Coots side of things to do this, to prosecute this. And yes, they don't necessarily have in-house lawyers in prosecution. They hire firms to do this. So, yeah.
Those billable hours are up there.
I bet you Canada Post is looking at that going, oh, we could have used some of that. Could have used some of that. We would have delivered more services to Canada than the prosecutions delivered here. Jessica Rose is our guest today. She did give me a heads up. She has a very busy morning. She wanted to reschedule by an hour. I said, I'm sorry, but we are live. So I am expecting her to pop in. And what I can do is, because I shall have to go to my ex. But she's been working with Dr. Speaker and Kevin McKernan on a whole bunch of stuff, exposing the vaccine injury, not necessarily vaccine injuries, but the DNA contamination.
Yeah.
And their work's being recognized all over the place, especially down in Florida. And I have a message. Is it from her? Just quickly check. It is. Yes, she's going to be joining us.
Perfect.
Yes. I think she may be around because she's talking about our cold weather. We'll find out. So yes,
Zero
Jessica,
today. It was
Jessica
0.
will be joining us in a few minutes here, 8 minutes or so. Excellent. And then our guest yesterday, Mia Hughes, was a hit. People loved her. My wife loved her. Loved hearing the accent, talking about EastEnders and
Coronation Street.
Coronation Street as well. And yeah, you guys actually connected on a whole bunch of things that was helpful because the UK had these clinics that they were doing this in, and then it shut them down. I had no idea. So thanks for bringing that forward. And here's a clip from her recent speech in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I believe it was. So do give her a follow, _Crimea, M-I-A, River on X. She's probably one of the leading advocates or counter advocates to this entire gender ideology nonsense. And I really enjoyed learning from her the timeline and when there was like a very definitive pivot where they went from recognizing it and treating it as a mental health issue to forcing an ideology on society and ignoring the mental health issue. That's crazy. And I'm not trying to use a pun on that, but that's crazy that they did that.
Well, because we can comment like we grew up in different countries, but neither of us grew up with this in our schools, in our social life as young people and teens and young adults even. So
no, we grew up in the age of homosexuality, where that was more accepted. We grew up in that age. We also grew up in the non-bullying age. You don't bully people, and then it's kind of sad to see how. I guess we were preconditioned.
It's pushed to the extreme. Now you don't bully, but those who would have been bullied get to become the bullies. That's how they're kind of pushing it.
Well, that's where I was going with that. Maybe we were preconditioned to be sensitive to bullying so that when it happened to us, we step back and are worried and take a knee type of things. I've never been wired that way. So maybe maybe my mother had Tylenol when I was there in her, but I am definitely not wired that way. Don't Jason me. They didn't know back then. I know she smoked and drank, so who knows?
Oh my Jason!
I'm just playing. But I'm not wired that way, so I'm not sensitive to that kind of stuff. I've developed thick skin over the years. I've been bullied for my height and my lisp, so I think it was just preconditioned by society to be able to take this kind of stuff and move on and fight. So I'll take that as a win. Dr. James Thorpe will be joining us tomorrow morning. I'm very excited about that. I did an interview with him earlier in the week for our Sean Hartman movie. So yeah, it's amazing who said yes to being part of that. It's going to be very difficult to keep it to 2 hours because there's so much good information. So, and that has been postponed. So we'll get you another date. I think it's the 13th of December.
It's still to be booked, but yeah, that's the availability.
Yeah, we're looking at that because we definitely want to make sure that everybody that wants to be there can be there. And the Prairie Rising event is very important. And I wish we could be there, but we'll be knocking on doors and getting ready for the election on the 20th. But I definitely wanted to make sure that people could get to that event and then come to ours at another time.
And so we just need to double check that date is.
Yeah, we're working very, very
There's
hard.
nothing else going on in the area.
Well, we first. We'll go book it and let the date get out there.
Yeah.
But we're working hard to do that for you also. So many people reach out and say, "I want to be there, but I'm going to be in Regina."
Yeah.
And if had we known about Prairie Rising, and it's our bad, we wouldn't have picked that date to begin with. But anyways, we'll get you a new date, and we'll coordinate with all the speakers and all the accommodations and everything. So we'll get a new date to you soon. So Dr. James Thorpe, this one's troubling though.
Yeah.
He reposted, "This is extremely concerning, but consistent with my extensive clinical experience after rollout of COVID-19 vaccines in pregnant women." That was his post. The post he's referring to is, "In the material you sent, there was a 4-fold excess risk of birth defects among the vaccinated mothers. And I calculated on my own, it is a p-value of 0.05. So this is very concerning to have a 4-fold excess risk of birth defects in these pregnant women." We saw this coming. Like, this is what Detective Helen Gruss was already on back in 2022. And I spoke to her the other day. She's doing well, and she's fighting hard. And she's actually more concerned about others than herself. That's a fabulous woman. Of course she is.
That's
and Jess, we see you, but you got a few more minutes, so we'll be right with you. And I'm sorry about the cold. Hopefully you have a hot tea or something there. Okay, so this is Katie. So they're kind of highlighting Katie from the ostrich farm. We had her on for about an hour and a half or so. Great woman. Communicated with her yesterday, shared the news about the board's decision to support her on this issue, and she was very pleased. So I'm happy. I'm happy that more and more people are getting behind them. They're taking a look at what's going on and making the decision to go ahead and support her on her fight to save her birds.
Well, I think when the facts are presented clearly, a timeline is presented clearly, and it's not segments of it, it's not hearsay from other people, you actually sit down and listen to it all in one go. Well, that's the case, and those are the facts of it, and it makes more sense, and it's far easier to support when it's presented to you in that way.
So are you saying when you hear both sides of the story, you can have a more informed conclusion and decision?
Have I just come up with an original concept?
You radical, you radical person, you.
Wow.
Yep. David Speaker, great man. He was one of our speakers, and he's going to confirm again to come down. He put out his essay, his article on the ostriches as well. Another person who's done the science portion of this and looked at the value of them, and they definitely have a large research value. So Dr. Speaker, he probably will be joining us as well to do a recording to speak to his article here, just like we're doing today with Nicholas Holscher. Yeah. So he was on our show over a week ago now. He's going to be coming back to do a recording tomorrow, so I can put it up tomorrow night to share his article as well, because I didn't know he did an article. I reached out to him and asked him if he knew anybody that has been following the issue in the U.S., because I wanted a U.S. perspective. He's down in Texas. Turns out he had it. Great. So we'll be bringing him back to do that as well. And without further ado, it looks like Jessica's warmed up a bit and she's ready to go, and she's got the lighting. And what we'll do is we'll get her on early because she's got a very busy morning, and we'll get her back to that morning.
No, it's not about that. It's about starting now is the problem. But anyway.
I'm sorry about that. We are live. This is our little morning.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So never mind. It's fine. I just look terrible. So people are going to have
to you look fantastic. So you say it's cold. You say it's cold. So whereabouts are you?
If
you don't have to dock yourself.
In a cold part of the world.
In a cold part of the world. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you joining us. I know that you do a lot of work, and you're very responsive. And I'm sorry, I didn't mention that it was a live show. We do this at this time. So sorry about that.
No,
for next time, you'll know. So how are you? It's been a while since we've had you on the show. Have you warmed up? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm fine. Is that light terrible though? Like it's the only heat I have right now, so I have to accept it.
We're absolutely fine.
It's all good.
Yeah, okay. It's whatever the content is. We're very happy to have you here to have the conversation.
All right,
you look fine to me. You certainly get a lot of sun. You got a nice tan there.
Well, yeah, it's one streak, so I have to maximize.
Yeah.
And it's
Excellent.
moving, so I might be going this way.
That's okay. So the Earth is round. This is the first piece of information you're giving us. The Earth is round. Is that what you're saying?
Is it?
I'm wondering if the sun's moving, how does that work?
Is there an Earth?
Oh boy, maybe. Elon says we're in a simulation, and it's starting to look more and more like
Does
it with
he?
all this AI stuff. He has said that before, yeah, that we're in a simulation. He's pretty convinced at this stage that we're more likely in a simulation than we're not.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, well, I don't know. It's not wrong to say we don't really have strong evidence to support that, because we kind of do, but it's more like philosophical evidence, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure we might be, but there's no way to prove it one way or the other, is there? Unless somebody breaks out of the matrix and then comes back and frees everybody else. I don't know.
That person may have done that, and we just didn't believe it. Like, we've been like, no way, dismiss you completely. We won't believe that, because we've had these time travelers, pop up every once in a while, and we're like, yeah, no, you can't be. So maybe they tried. We're just not listening.
Yeah, it also depends on how you define what the simulation is. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, in the Matrix, for example, it's defined as a physical thing, physical construct to, enable energy supply. But maybe it's not like that. Maybe it's more about maybe it's more about energy. I don't know. Anyway, is that really what we're going to talk about?
No,
Sorry,
we
I
kind of
started
stumbled
it.
into it when you talked. When the sun was moving, that went into flat Earth, and that went
Sorry,
into
my
simulation.
fault. I started it.
No worries, no worries. It's the tea and coffee. It's the caffeine. Kind of kicks us off nice and early. No, actually, what I wanted to do was kind of follow up on this post and some of the work you've been doing recently with Dr. Speaker and others, and how it's starting to become more and more recognized. So you say, gee, I wonder what it is about SARS-2 that commands the immune system to stand down and allow cancers to wreak havoc. Scientists are baffled. Faith. Really, are they baffled, or are they just really slow to catch up in the simulation of ours?
Well, that depends on how you define scientist.
Let's
Sorry,
play with
this is
words and
Yes.
redefine them. There's traditional terms of scientists.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way to start, because I should talk about our newly published paper.
Please.
So it's about, I suppose, 2 weeks old now. It's on PubMed too. I'll read you guys the title, because I'm never doing that, because the title is a little bit lengthy. But it's been published in the journal Autoimmunity, and it discusses what we found when we looked in Pfizer and Moderna vials for DNA using a couple different methodologies. So it's called Quantification of Residual Plasmid DNA and SV40 Promoter Enhancer Sequences in Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna mod RNA COVID-19 quote unquote vaccines from Ontario, Canada. So it's a hefty piece of work. It took us years to get it published. It took 6 journals to get published. We had 5 outright rejections before this. Autoimmunity, in my opinion, this journal and the editor was very wise to make the decision to publish this work, not only because of its relevance and importance, but because, as is reflected by the altmetric data, the altmetric metrics, this paper's really, really popular in the eyes of the public and the science community. It's ranking way up there in terms of downloads, views, and reads. So, just not to keep people in suspense, we tested 32 vials that represented 16 unique lots, and we found DNA, a lot of DNA in all of them.
Wow.
And in case you don't realize the significance of that, I'll refer to the CDC's website as of today, where they still claim in bold, no less, that DNA is not an issue with these products because they're made from messenger RNA. And their claim is because it's only messenger RNA involvement that it can't revert to DNA and it can't integrate, and there's no problem with tinkering with the genome. So first of all, that's not true. There's a publication that shows evidence that these the nucleoside modified mRNAs can revert to DNA via line 1, which is a retrotransposon that we all have. And because it can revert to DNA or go back to its DNA state, it's possible that it can integrate. So there's already that, which nobody's talking about anymore. And that's, to me, that's a significant problem. But this is probably a more significant problem because of the implications. So this DNA that we found is, of course, foreign, and it's the byproduct of the production method. So if you haven't seen one of my my presentations where I describe the manufacturing process, here's the gist of it, okay? And this will also include a summary of how they switched out the processes and therefore the product. So for the clinical trials, this is specifically for Pfizer I'm talking about now, they used a different way to produce the nucleoside modified mRNA than they used for the commercial products that they put into billions of people. So in the former case, they used PCR to amplify DNA. That's what they did the trials on, okay? So all of that crappy, and I do mean crappy, so-called safety and efficacy data was based on that. So if you know anything about that data, you already know that it's bad. It does show a lot of adverse events. They shot up the placebo group, so we lost the placebo part of the randomized placebo-controlled trial. Which
when you say shot up, they actually gave them the test vaccine as well? What do you mean when you say they shot up the placebo group, they got the vaccine as well?
That's right.
That's not a placebo group anymore.
Of course not.
Okay, gotcha.
This is on record, but Rachel Zhang said this as part of one of these VRBPAC meetings, VRBPAC/ACIP meetings. She's on record, like, this isn't hearsay. I mean, this is what they did. There are articles written about how people were so overjoyed that they actually got to get the real product after being unblinded. It's atrocious. I mean, the trials didn't include a lot of people. The phase 3, there were only like 30,000 people. So it was already bad in the beginning. But anyway, let's put the trials aside. So what they did when they needed to upscale, when they needed to produce billions and billions of vials for commercial use and injection into the population because everybody needed a COVID shot or multiple, they wanted to save time and money. So they switched to something called a plasmid E. coli process. This is called process 2 in the documentation, and this is all written down. Like I can give you the links if you want. Their own words describe what they did. So this E. coli plasmid production system is potentially rife with problems if you don't use it properly or if you don't clean out your final product properly. So a plasmid is a circular piece of DNA. We use these in biotech all the time. They're brilliant, kind of like a borrowed concept from nature. And you can you make these plasmid DNAs, and you can insert whatever gene you want with whatever promoters and whatever you want in order to have the byproduct of amplifying that particular sequence. So if, for example, if you want to make a lot of spike coding material, you can insert a spike gene into a plasmid. Then you put that plasmid into E. coli bacteria. And we use E. coli bacteria because it's not very dangerous. We use it in the lab all the time. It's BSL-2, I think, Biosafety Lab 2. And it doubles every 20 minutes. So all you have to do is put it in a flask, give it some food, some sugar, some carbon dioxide and oxygen, and some heat, and shake it up overnight. And then you have a huge population of bacteria. And then we use antibiotic resistance genes that are specific in order to sift out the particular bacteria that took up the plasmid of interest, which carries that spike gene, so that we only have the DNA of interest. And then what you're supposed to do is you linearize your DNA, your in vitro transcription, add your N1-methyl pseudouridines, because this is modified mRNA. And then I'm going over that because I'm taking too long to describe this. But at the end, what you're supposed to do is clean out that final product, which is that nucleoside modified mRNA. You don't want any of the stuff that was used in the production process to carry over. You don't want any LPS, lipopolysaccharide, which is content of the bacterial cell wall. You don't want any foreign DNA. You don't want any DNA left over from plasmids. Hells no, you don't want full plasmids. You don't want reagents. You don't want all this stuff. You just want your pure product, right? That was the whole point. So finally, you wrap that in a lipid nanoparticle, probably at a different site, and that's what was meant to happen. So the fact that we're discovering hordes of DNA, and it's not just us, by the way, this has been reproduced all over the world in multiple labs, including by a bunch of kids at the FDA. And I'm not kidding about that. That's a published paper, Wang et al. This is hordes of DNA. And the fact that we're finding that means that, well, it means one simple thing. That final cleanup step was not done properly. And not only that, but there are checks and balances that you have to do on the bench in order to determine that your product is pure. And if you use those checks and balances, there's no real way you can make a mistake. Your product is pure or it's not. And we also have EMA documentation that shows that it was not a pure product. There were DNA issues, and that they've been trying to mitigate this since 2001. This is all documented. So it's not just that we're finding leftovers from sloppy manufacturing, okay? That's the bottom line about this, which affects billions of people, by the way. It's the kind of DNA that we found, in particular, this SV40 enhancer promoter. And just before I talk a little bit about that and the implications, the regulatory bodies all know about this. They were informed. Health Canada were informed basically by us. We have FOIA requested emails between them and the EMA and the FDA. Many regulatory bodies know about this. And their response has been, on the subject matter of SV40 promoter enhancers, it's not functional, it's not a problem, which is an absolutely ludicrously false statement, because A, you have no data to support that statement, and B, it is functional. It's used in gene therapy as a tool to traffic things to the nucleus of cells. You could look up David Dean's work if you want to look up SV40 nuclear localization sequence activity. It's a powerful promoter. It's a mammalian promoter. It's absolutely, there's no reason to believe that it's not functional and it's not having some kind of impact. And that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, because the simple fact is it's not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be in these vials. It's not supposed to be transfecting human cells with lipid nanoparticles everywhere in the body. It's not supposed to be introduced to the cytosol of cells. Who knows what cells? Who knows how many cells? Because when you introduce foreign DNA of any kind, not just SV40, to the inside of a cell, the cytosol, the goopy place where all the stuff hang out, where all the organelles are, you can induce something called the CGAS-STING pathway, which is an inflammatory pathway that can lead to cancer promotion. So probably the worst thing, I mean, it's not the only, but one of the worst things that has been published is that this SV40 can bind something called P53, which is the so-called guardian of the genome. It's a tumor suppressor gene. So its function as part of the system here is to help us not have tumors all the time, for lack of a better way of saying it. If you interfere with any normally functioning process or the mechanism of action of something in the human body by introducing a foreign agent, you can only imagine that something could go wrong very badly at the cellular level. So it's impossible for me at this point, with everything that we've learned and actually managed to get peer reviewed and published, that these things were just purely accidental and based on stupidity. Because I'd like to think that the people who are working on the benches and the people who are working, for the pharmaceutical companies aren't all corrupt, and that they know that, even, for example, in Moderna's own patent, it's stated that you don't want to introduce foreign DNA into a cell using this LNP methodology, because you could risk genomic problems, genomic instability problems. And that's not, that's not including all the other things that could go wrong with this SV40. So sorry, that was long, but that's a nutshell what we found and what the implications are. And I think it actually could be a good reason why we're seeing this uptick of cancers in younger age groups, and the spread of cancers, the types, and the aggressiveness. Cheers.
Cheers. Now, the SV40, this predates the COVID vaccine. The dangers of it was well known before. Can you maybe take us through some of the history of when did they discover SV40, the problems with it, and then it kind of highlights, like, that's absolutely shouldn't be in the stuff. They knew about this way before even vaccines for COVID were created or manufactured. The SV40 is a problem, and we should be avoiding it.
Yeah, so what we're talking about with the SV40 promoter enhancer is a component of the SV40 virus, which is the simian vacuolating virus 40. And there was an historic, most people do know a little bit about this, contamination of vaccines somewhere in the late 50s. With this SV40, hello, my dear. This SV40 virus, it's a monkey virus, and it is carcinogenic. It causes cancer in animals. This is known. So to have this, these were from the so-called early batches of the oral form of the polio vaccine, where this was discovered. And naturally, if you introduce an oncogenic virus or cancer-causing virus into that causes cancer in humans into humans, naturally you can probably imagine what's going to happen. So it was a big scandal. It was a big disaster. This is I suppose, the best summary of what happened with the SV40 virus in the past, which also speaks to it speaks to the seriousness of what we're doing in terms of not just vaccine production, but tinkering with genes, tinkering with viruses, making them more virulent. Like the whole scope of what we're doing in the field of science when it comes to especially unknown pathogens is it really needs to be looked at under a magnifying glass, and we really need to take more than a few steps back on what we're doing, especially right now, because sometimes I wonder, like, how much longer we have, like, how many more big ass mistakes can we make in terms of you know, giving people manufactured products under the guise of, you know, human health that really have been through no safety testing. The proof is in the pudding, right? Like this example I just gave is just one. I mean, there's also the HIV debacle. I won't go into that, but everyone should read The River. You know, like, I think that this COVID thing is probably the biggest. I don't even know what to call it. It's more than a debacle. It's not a mistake. None of this was by mistake. It was very forced. It wasn't even intentional. It was forced on the public. You know, it could have. I know that this is going to sound bad, especially to the injured people who I am specifically fighting for. But and sometimes I think like it could have been a lot worse, and I wonder, because of the emergence of these cancer waves, which are very clear, if we're just not quite, you know, even seeing the tip of the iceberg yet with the long-term effects of these shots. Something that a lot of people in the shot world don't talk about enough, I think, is also the damaging effects of the actual virus, the construct that some people call a bioweapon, that was made in a lab. I mean, it has this insidious spike protein, which was constructed. It has components in there that do incredibly bad things to a human immune system. This is also why we're seeing a lot of autoimmunity problems in terms of the shots specifically, because, and the difference between the virus and the shots is obviously the numbers, right? When you're introducing the coding material for the spike gene into people using lipid nanoparticles, you can literally get them anywhere in your body, because these lipid nanoparticles, by design, traffic everywhere because they're nanoparticles. The instructions for your cells are to use this coding material to produce as much of this spike or something that looks like it as it can, until it eventually gets killed because it flags itself for destruction, or it explodes because there's too much foreign material inside, or it implodes by, well, that's the signal that it gets, called apoptosis, to self-destruct, because there's too much bad stuff going on inside. So yeah, I mean, just to follow that thought through, there are also publications indicating that people are producing spike years out from the last shot. And so we're all trying to figure out, like, okay, what could possibly be the reason for that? Because there's a number of hypotheses. One of them is that integration has actually occurred. And so this coding material for the spike is actually, you know, downloaded into the genome of the human, and whenever those cells that are carrying that material get activated, they're reproducing the spike. It's kind of like what happens with HIV with latent infection. Do you want me to mention this, or is it too much?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're all watching.
HIV is a retrovirus, and so it's bad for two reasons. it's really bad for two reasons, I would say. One, the type of cells that it likes to infect, which are CD4 positive T cells, which are the helper T cells of the immune system, the acquired branch. Without these cells, without this cell type, you don't have like so-called commanders of the army of your immune system. Like everyone's just like,
Right.
that's why it's bad on that front. The second reason why it's bad is because it does latently infect cells. It injects its genetic material into the cells of the human. Not injects it, inserts it into the genome. So, and it hides effectively. So its genetic coding material won't it won't spring into action to allow for the new production, the new progeny virus to be made until that particular cell is activated. So this is why some people, I suppose, will, even without antiretroviral medication, they'll be carriers for a long time, and their CD count will be, their T cell count will be fine for a long time, and then all of a sudden, they can go into a decline because all of a sudden, it becomes reactivated. Antiretroviral drugs also help to suppress, these the viral load, so called, so you can actually induce the latency period so that you're not constantly producing the virus, and your immune system isn't constantly activated and eventually exhausted. So it's not unlike that when I think about it. It's not the same thing, well, that we know about, but it seems kind of similar when you think of it from that hypothetical viewpoint. There are other reasons why people might be making spike for a long time, besides getting reintroduced with shots over and over again, which people are also still doing, by the way.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
I just want, there's a quick question here from our locals chat. Is there a blood test that we can take to determine if we still have the spike protein in our body?
Or manufacturing spike proteins as well.
As far as I know, there's a lab in Germany where you can get that done. People are working on it. I'm sorry, I don't have a more detailed answer than people are working on having this done. But I would imagine why it's so slow or not known is because it's not in the best interest of many people for this to be acknowledged as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
First, you have to acknowledge that there's a problem. Then you can address the problem. So this is one of the biggest problems with this whole COVID nonsense. Like, there's absolutely no problem with the shots. They're safe and effective, and we don't need to do anything other than, ram, a COVID test down everyone's throat to detect, Anyway, yeah. So there's a problem with obscuration of the fact that there's a massive problem, which is delaying the actual production of these kinds of tests. They do exist. I mean, it's easy to do. You just draw some blood and you take off the plasma and you can find whatever you want in there. So yeah, sorry, it's not the best answer, but it's not my chicken coop right now. Might be in the future.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people wondering if they have it, how to detox from it. They're following protocols to try and deal with it. And I think the most scary thing about this one for me is we don't know the full effects yet. It might take a couple generations to understand that. And as we just kind of announced with our audience just before you got on, there's a 4-fold increase in birth defects now in vaccinated only women. So we're starting to see where this is headed. I think we're starting to learn now.
Where is that statistic coming from?
Yeah, I'll pull that up here because we just pulled it up. Dr. Thorpe shared it, and I'll bring up the source from him for you right here. Okay. So Karen Kingston, so we can share it, and it's a Dr. Kaldorf, and there's a Zoom call where they're talking about it. What I'll do is I'll share this link with you in X, and you can follow up on it. but they've noticed that there's a p-value of 0.05, and there's a 4-fold increase in birth defects amongst vaccinated mothers. So I think we can see where this is headed, and this is part of the concern with Dr. Speaker as well, is the effects on the next generation. And Dr. Thorpe, of course, we have him tomorrow morning. Maybe if you tune in tomorrow morning at the same time, we'll be talking to him about this and see where this information is coming from, and then his concerns of it for sure.
Okay. I had a quick question before we end. So whether you put your scientist or tinfoil hat on, Dr. Rose, what's your opinion? Like, why have they done this? To what end? Like you says, they knew of the information, they forced it upon people. To what end? Why did they want to pollute? Why did they want to pollute the human race?
Well, as you're answering that one, I'm going to just throw a little precursor on this, a pre-qualifier. Was this just sloppy manufacturing, or did they add lead back into paint suddenly when we knew it was bad for us?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, like the kettle of fish that are humans right now. I mean, there's amazing ones. Most people are good. There is a lot of hubris. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of ignorance. There's a lot of stupidity. But there also is malevolence. My personal take is that it's kind of a weird organic evolution of corner cutting for profit. And I know that a lot of people just don't want to believe that this could only be about money primarily, but I really, really believe that it is, because those COVID shots, this platform, which is not going away, by the way, this nucleoside modified mRNA LNP thing, or the self-amplifying thing, they're not going away. I believe very strongly that the whole COVID thing was designed as a segue to bring this new way of introducing the concept of quote unquote vaccines, because they're not vaccines, to the public, and to normalize it, because that's exactly what happened. It's become completely normalized. I mean, even though a huge percentage of the people know that this is riddled with problems and they won't take another shot, some people are not taking any vaccines anymore because they pushed too hard on this envelope. It's still normalized. It's like there's no problem with just replacing the spike gene with some other gene from like H1N5 or whatever the hell they're going to do next, and calling that a vaccine and saying, here, you need to get this every year. People are doing it. And it's not the last stage either. I think this is just eventually what you're going to see is this slow kind of transition combined with like short-term memory loss of like interchanging the terminology associated with vaccines with gene therapies. And then all of a sudden you'll start to, I think that the population will just become numb to the implications of what that means, using the word gene, what it means to do gene replacement therapy, gene therapy at all. And that's going to become the future of medicine. It's going to be called personalized medicine, which I have no problem with. I think that the key to successfully being, a healthy human is to look at a human on the individual level, but that's not what this is going to be about, in my opinion. It's like all the great ideas are always bastardized and converted into some kind of money-making scheme. So I think they're going to start the gene editing thing like real soon, gene edited babies, turning humans into more droney, under the guise of course, like, yeah, we want to remove all your gene defects that we can now detect with sequencing. We can sequence your in utero life form baby ahead of time, and we can tell you if it has these gene defects, and we have the technology to fix it. I mean, I'm not even saying there's anything horribly wrong with that. But as we saw, the reason I'm saying it like this is because there was so much that was forced / imposed on us during the COVID era, and our right to choose if there is such a thing, was absolutely taken away from us. And that's the part that I really, really have a huge problem with. I'm like, listen, do whatever you want. Don't screw with the environment. Stop polluting it, by the way, and don't tell me what to do with my body, like, ever, or my kids. So yeah, that's why I think they did it. It's a lot more, dry and calculated than the idea that they're trying to, kill us all. And I think there's a big difference just on that point between trying to kill people and not giving a shit if they die. And I think it's more about the latter.
Okay. Well, the Pfizer CEO, he made a comment recently of the Pfizer Vax platform. This was just a dress rehearsal during COVID. So he's absolutely signaling there's a lot more to come. We took wolves and turned them into domesticated animals, including little chihuahuas and other things. So humans absolutely know how to modify a living creature to our benefit. If we want to make them less angry with us and just do what we want, we already did this research and figured out how to do it in the animal kingdom. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was extended into humans. If you have a few more minutes, we're going to jump over to our locals chat. We do about 5 or 10 minutes there. And if you want to hang out for that, be happy to. But if you got to run, I understand. But we do have to wrap
I'm
up.
good.
You're good? Okay, so
Well,
locals hangout. We're going to have a couple more minutes with the world famous, wonderful Dr. Rose. And by the way, you're well loved in our chat.
Yes.
People absolutely like to see you in the morning.
Thanks, guys. I love you too.
Simulation or not, we're all happy right now. We'll talk to you in a second.
That's the thing about what I was saying about the simulation, because happiness remains what happiness is. It's not a physical construct. It's like something that is probably linked to the soul. Maybe. I don't know.
There's a t-shirt there. Happiness is what happiness remains. We'll get a t-shirt with your name on it and your face on it. But we'll be right with you. We'll wrap up with the public and we'll continue this conversation. So hang on a second. All right, public, thanks for hanging out. I hope that was informative to you. I saw the chat was very pleased with hearing this information. And Paula, thanks for pulling out some of these questions because holy smokes, I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. Whether it was intentional or not, the damage is happening and it's being discovered, and people are concerned because they took the vax, know somebody who took the vax, were shot, and they want to know what's going to happen. So stay tuned and we'll keep bringing this to you and Dr. Thorpe tomorrow morning. Yep.
And everyone have a wonderful day. And if you're in the Brazeau County area, go ahead and check out Buck Creek Hall this evening at 7 p.m. See Dr. Dr. Dennis Modry speak from the APP.
Thank you all very much. We love you all and God bless.